Uh, Yesterday, a case got admitted. A 40-year-old female, uh, by occupation, came with the complaint of shortness of breath, according to grade 4 of MRMC scale, and dry cough since sluggishness is 1 week, and general shakiness since 1 week. The patient was apparently asymptomatic, and she was doing her own work properly and all. Gradually, so it was incidence, SOP was incidence on onset, and it was progressively increasing. For the past 2 days, like for the past 2 hours, it was progressively increasing. One worsening symptoms they presented to the casualty with a respiratory rate of around 36, 38 cycles per minute, and saturations of around 58% on room air. On putting an oxygen mask, it was accounting to 92% of oxygen on 50 liters of oxygen. She's in one
How
case of
many liters?
15 liters, ma'am. 1 5.
15.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
On ordinary face mask.
Yes, ma'am. Ordinary face, ma'am. She's on one case of diabetics in 6 years, and she's on OHS, metformin, and the dose wasn't specified by them. And she's also in one case of RVD, which actually the attendants were not giving a clear history of this thing. And we got to know after we sent our labs and all. Her labs were unremarkable, apart from hemoglobin of 10.1 and albumin of 3 and total protein of 7.5, showing a gamma cap and all. Her X-ray was showing it was a mid-inspiratory. The X-ray was showing it was a mid-inspiratory film with showing reticular opacities.
I think Sharon shared the X-ray just now on his mobile screen.
Where the X-ray saturation is present. Apart from my knowledge and all, like the X-ray was taken with little underexposed. It's a mid-inspiratory film, which showing reticular opacity in both middle and lower zones of the lung fields and all, with an opacity over in the both lower lobes and uh, left water can be visualized, right water can be visualized. And all. There was no JVPRS and there was no periodema to even account for any heart failure and all.
Okay, he's a bit tense, so that's why. All right. So, yes, Ravi, in the X-ray showing a lot of infiltrates, isn't it?
Yes.
In the lower zones, a lot of infiltrates.
Yes.
So, what could these infiltrates be? I mean, this is the pathology, and pathology which we are seeing in shadows through radiological imaging. Now, the question was whether this pathology is because of COVID as an etiologic factor, or is it because of HIV itself, or is it because of PCP? And how do we make out? And what are the next steps to find the diagnosis? I think the question is rather simple. Like, of course, the radiology can never completely say that it is that. The only way to find out is to see the pathology. Now, to see the pathology, you actually need a lung biopsy, which is not
So
very
actually,
easy. Yeah.
Sir,
Yes.
Raveen, I have one question. Did you send an ABG when she presented to you with hypoxia?
Yes, ma'am. I have sent for an ABG. It
What
was
was the
showing
PO2?
PO2 was 39.1, ma'am, on room
Okay.
air.
So
Okay.
severe hypoxia, 39.1.
Yes, ma'am.
And what about PCO2?
PCOT was around 25.1, sir.
How much?
25.1.
25. So there's something like a hyperventilation also, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Because of the increased respiratory rate and all, maybe. Even and it is showing pH is also alkalosis, sir. It's showing a pattern of alkalosis. So maybe hyperventilation because of this underlying pneumonia and all, or maybe COVID and all.
So see, we have got a lot of inputs coming from the audience. So Dr. Arjun is saying that you could do a bronchoalveolar lavage and basically analyze it with a particular stain,
Yes.
which can show you PCP. So in such a patient, yes, one is if you are lucky, a sputum itself might be stained with the same stain, like silver methylamine stain, or even Ginza stain sometimes.
Chloride
And-
blue also.
Yeah, and you've already sent that. Yeah, today we have sent that stain, and maybe if you're lucky, we'll be able to see Pneumocystis carinii there. So that is one way to go ahead to capture the etiology, because whatever we are seeing as a pathology is a gross pathology, like with infiltrates in the both the lower lobes. So whether this is COVID, whether this is PCP, whether this is HIV causing UIP, that we will have to see. But we can rule out one by one. So we are also getting a COVID RT-PCR. The
was-
rapid antigen test is
Was
negative.
negative, sir.
COVID RT-PCR will be done tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Tomorrow morning.
Yeah, so automatically we'll come to know, and the PCP. So if the PCP is negative, COVID RT-PCR is positive, bronchoalveolar lavage, which may not be done because of low resources. So we may even think that this is COVID. But at the same time, PCP will always be at the back of our mind. And we will probably we have already started our own treatment for PCP.
Yes.
Isn't it? Because COVID we cannot treat. So the only thing we can treat here is PCP.
Yes.
Huh. So yeah.
For pneumocystis carrying pneumonia on HRCT, we may seeing dark bronchus sign actually to differentiate between the COVID and PCP pneumonia.
Okay, on HRC.
HRCT.
So it can be well
Yeah, but how
differentiable.
common is it? I mean,
Using a HRCT, can we say that this is COVID, this is pneumocystis? Just by on the basis of dark bronchus sign, that is DK's contention. Yeah, Natasha, you were saying something?
sir, but how commonly do we see that bronchus signs and our bronchus
Yeah,
signs?
exactly. So, very good point, Natasha. So, basically, it's a point about sensitivity of a test. So, when DK says dark bronchus sign, it may be very specific, but is it sensitive? Like if we do the HRCT, how much chance are there to get the dark bronchus sign, although it is still the same problem, isn't it? So yeah, good point about sensitivity. Now, Dr. Arjun has made a comment about candidiasis. Can we see that on the message? You have to click on the message. Yeah. Presence of oral candidiasis mounts to high chances of PCP. Is there oral candidiasis? Very good point. Yeah. So, is there oral candidiasis, Raveen? You must have taken the oral cavity picture of her. So,
Sir,
Raveen
and
has
also,
forgotten to see the oral
what is
cavity.
the-
He will go and take a picture after 4 o'clock and share in the group. Yeah,
sir,
Natasha.
also, what is the CD4 count, sir?
Yeah, what is the CD4 count? When was it last done?
We didn't send for CD4 counts.
No. Obviously, now you can't send, but she's been
Seriously.
HIV positive for how long?
Last,
But she's not using any medication for these things, sir.
Yeah, she has given up follow up with the ART clinic since when?
They're not giving a clear history, sir. They told her she was positive, but
actually-
they whatever.
Acha, this HIV was also detected by us. Otherwise, they were not volunteering.
They know it seems, sir. They were hiding the information. When we told that we came out to be positive and all,
Huh.
they said they know it from long before, but how much long? We
Okay,
didn't
so
actually tell.
they are a bit, uncomfortable with sharing the data. So, scared of stigmatization. So that's why we do not know as to what was her past history till now. So Raveen, you'll have to be very gentle with them. and earn their trust so that they can share
What
with
is a
you.
good issue?
Yeah, share with you. I think in the morning we have made them a little bit reassured.
Sir,
Huh?
I think
Please a
she's
little
having
bit.
oral candidiasis also, sir. Charan is sharing the image right now.
Yeah, no, the thing is, nobody has seen her oral cavity till now. Unless, yes, we can go to the non-COVID ICU now and see her oral cavity. Who is currently there in the
Sir,
non-COVID ICU? Okay.
Charan is sharing the
Sai
image, sir,
Charan.
now.
Sai Charan is there. Okay, Sai Charan is examined. Natasha?
Sir, he's sharing the image now. He was
Acha,
sharing the image.
he has captured the image and he's sharing. Very good. So, is he sharing it in the Gmail?
Yes, sir, he's sharing it. He's sharing the screen.
Yeah, has he shared it? Because we are not able to see his screen. I don't know why. He is presenting, but where is the screen? DK? DK is not able to find where the screen is.
So I think you have to pin me in the list.
Acha, if you pin him to that. Yeah. Right, cross. Yeah, good. Yeah, very nice. Okay. There's a lot of candidates, it seems. Can you make it bigger? DK have to make it bigger. Charan is doing it. Very good. Yeah. So there's a lot of candidates, isn't it? Where is this on the tongue? Yeah, looks like tongue, even soft palate.
Yes, sir.
A lot of candidates is there. Yeah, so PCP is very likely. Hmm. Very interesting. Yeah, good. Good. Thanks, Charan. So, and thanks, Dr. Arjun. So, yes, circumstantially, on the basis of incidences in the past, it has been shown that if there's a high incidence of PCP with oral candidiasis, the fact that this lady has oral candidiasis means her CD4 count is also at a certain level, which will also invite pneumocystis carinii to, sink in. And most likely she has got pneumocystis carinii. So, Ravin, what are you giving her for the pneumocystis carinii? Are you giving her PCP prophylaxis or are you giving her treatment? And what would be the ideal treatment in such a patient?
We started her on sulfadoxine trimethoprim, sir.
You have added her on cotrimoxazole. What dose? Because there's a PCP prophylaxis dose
Dose is different and treatment dose both are
and there
different.
is a treatment dose, right, Natasha? So, Natasha, would you like to tell us what is the treatment dose?
800 to 160 mg.
Yeah.
800 and 160 mg, sir. But
Yeah, 800 and 160 mg, but that is
or once daily.
twice a day or once a day?
Once daily, sir.
Once daily, that's the treatment dose.
Yes.
Okay, and how long does the treatment last?
I didn't release.
Okay. So also Dr. Arjun has made another very nice comment that raised LDH, that also correlates with a possibility of pneumocystis carinii. Can you see the message? Yes, that's a very important decision whether steroids will help in pneumocystis carinii. And what are the situations where you can give steroids to such a patient? Very good point, Dr. Arjun. Yes, Natasha, do you have an answer to that? So, Ravin, you must have opened the pneumocystis carinii in front of you. Why don't you look at steroids? The only other thing is
Steroids will actually help in PCP, sir, and that we're also suspecting COVID. I think it benefits both.
yeah. So Natasha is saying that steroids will not only help in PCV but also COVID, and Divya is saying that it will worsen it will basically precipitate further fungal infection.
Sir, but for fungal infection, for her oral candidiasis, I think we can start her on fluconazole.
Yeah, so you can treat the oral candidiasis, no problem with that. And we have to treat the PCP. So the question is, when should we give steroids? Now that's very interesting, Natasha. When do we give steroids in COVID? You see, the indications are very similar. like steroids is also supposed to be given when the inflammation is at its peak, and
Yes, sir.
that is manifest by maybe
Yes,
need
sir.
some ventilation. So as Dr. Arjun is also hinting that you have to look at the state of oxygenation, which can be gauged by the alveolo arterial oxygen pressure gradient, which if it is less than 300, less than 400, yeah, we can think of ARDS. So basically, whenever a patient is mounting a severe inflammatory response against the alveoli through an antigen, be it PCP or COVID, we have an indication for steroids. So that's very interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like COVID, isn't it? That we treat COVID with steroids when we can suspect this kind of a severe inflammation going on. And PCP is also very similar. Our management approach to PCP is also similar. Then possible that our approach to COVID was framed on the basis of our prior approach to PCP. Because when the Europeans did this trial and published in NEJM, they must have had these initial clues from management of PCP. Because in certain ways, it is quite similar. Yeah, that's a very interesting point. Yeah, I knew it would be interesting because having PCP, COVID differentials together was, of course, quite. Yeah,
Very differentiable, clinically and
yeah,
almost radiologically also.
exactly.
So only for diagnosis, like taking a BAL,
Yes. Only the organism, if we can isolate that. Yes. So it's quite interesting. Yes, a lot of interesting points have been made.
But there are also like few articles showing they might coexist together, presenting as both.
Yes, of course,
Yes.
COVID can always patients having PCP, HIV, and then COVID also comes. So it's always possible. Yeah. So do we have a CRP? Somebody is asking in the audience.
That is 1.2, sir. Positive. That's
Huh?
1.2, sir.
1.2. That's less, isn't it? Not sure that much of inflammation.
That inflammation.
Yeah, but is it a very
But
sensitive marker of inflammation?
May not be, sir.
Yeah,
Like
CRP is not a very
infection.
sensitive marker. So you may have an inflammation, but still the CRP may not be high. So alveolar arterial oxygen gradient of more than 35 indication for steroid, which is proven. Does alveolar arterial gradient also help in starting steroids and COVID? That's a very good point. So why don't we? I mean, this is something which needs to be done, and I'm not sure why the NEJM, those investigators of the recovery trial, they did not try this out. But yeah, we also need to look at the paper which said that it is useful. How much useful it is, we have to critically appraise that. But yeah, it's opened up a nice area to dig deep and find out. So essentially, we have to look at the paper which has shown that alveolar arterial oxygen gradient more than 35 is useful, and we have to look at the paper, the recovery trial, whether they have really thought of this gradient, using this gradient also as a benchmark or a predictor, kind of. Okay, so quite a good discussion there, but I was very interested in learning about the pathology. What is the difference in pathology of PCP, difference in pathology of COVID, in HIV-induced usual interstitial pneumonia and non-specific interstitial pneumonia? So Natasha, can you tell us?
Sir?
What are the differences in pathologies of these? I mean, the lung pathology appears to be same. Is it completely same or are there some differences?
Sir, in UIP,
UIP?
in UIP and NSIP, there are differences, sir.
There are?
Sir, there are differences in UIP and NIP.
Yeah, like what changes?
Sir, in UIP, there is peripheral, I mean, there is mainly subpleural and bibasilar reticular opacity, sir. Whereas
Yeah.
in NSIP, so in NSIT, it is more of alveolar septal involvement, sir, in NSIP.
Acha, in non-specific interstitial pneumonia, it's alveolar and septal involvement.
Yes,
And where
sir.
do we see non-specific interstitial pneumonias as opposed to usual interstitial pneumonias?
Sir, sorry, sir, I couldn't get it.
Please, please. Madam, please, come and have a seat. Yeah, where do we see those?
Sir,
Where do we see non-specific interstitial pneumonias? Where do we see usual interstitial pneumonias? What is the most common variety of interstitial pneumonia in HIV other than the Pneumocystis carinii, which is an opportunistic infection, but something related directly to HIV itself? I mean, this could even be an HIV usual interstitial pneumonia. So, of course, it's not very common. It's probably not as common as Pneumocystis carinii. So how would we differentiate both the two in terms of pathology? Let us say we have been able to do a lung biopsy or we have done autopsies. And what would be the difference in pathology? Yes, Raveen, you should be able to tell us. What are the different types of pneumonias in HIV other than the Pneumocystis carinii pneumonia? HIV pneumonia per se, usual interstitial pneumonia, you have to read all that, isn't it? Yeah, non-specific interstitial pneumonias. So which one is more common? The usual one or the non-specific interstitial one?